Hello, race fans, and welcome back to another exciting edition of Off Track TV. Along with Dan Kapazinski, I'm the voice, Shane Andrews, welcoming you live from the Weedsport Speedway production studio in Weedsport, New York. Dan, great to be back with you once again.
Absolutely, episode number 2, and we had that warm weather again today. Unfortunately, it was a little wet outside, and we're still dealing with that a little bit. But the racing season in Central New York is inching ever closer.
I'm getting teased with this warm weather. I've got the itch to go,
Absolutely.
We're not too far away, and we're going to be talking about that here in just a few minutes. We've got a great show for you here tonight. A couple of great guests going to be joining us here in just a couple of minutes. We always take your questions. If you've got some thoughts, concerns, something you want to know about, throw us a message. You can find us info@weedsportproductions.com or on Facebook. You can hit me up on Twitter at NYVoice13. Dan, also on Twitter.
Yeah, that's right. At Dan_Kapasinski.
And don't forget to like us on our Weedsport Productions page on Facebook. Well, you mentioned the warm weather, Dan, and it gets us the itch to get going, and the outdoor season is almost here. Pennsylvania is already kicked off with sprint cars and modifieds. We've already seen that with the late models. Tomorrow is April 1st. It's April Fool's Day, so don't get fooled. Keep an eye on everybody. And tomorrow, Albany, Saratoga was supposed to get the green light, but unfortunately, wet grounds and unseasonably weather forecast pulled the plug early.
Yeah, it's racetracks always trying to get those shows in early in the season because it's kind of a double-edged sword. You're either going to have a really, really big night, big crowds, or the weather sometime is going to work against you. We're going to be trying to do that very thing right here at Weedsport, at the Weedsport Cartway later in the month of April. Hopefully the grounds dry out. We can have a good night of action for that too.
Well, I can tell you all eyes on the big block modified and modified world in the Northeast will be turning their sights to the Orange County Fair Speedway this weekend, the Hard Clay Open, race number 2 of the Elite Series for the Short Track Super Series coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, that's right. One of those big-time races, $25,000 on the line, and one thing that kind of makes it interesting to me, $25,000 to win, but only 50 laps for these races that have been on the Elite Series. Of course, they lost one at Georgetown Speedway last month, but Shane, one of our guests here tonight is a guy that knows this series all too well.
Yes, he does. As a matter of fact, he's going to join us right now, coming to us live from his shop and his home in Ringo's, New Jersey, the Ringo's Rocket. Winner of the Elite Series, $25,000 to win race at Cherokee to kick off that tour, Ryan Godown. Hey, Ryan, how you doing tonight?
How's it going? How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Congratulations. That big win down at Cherokee, $25,000. You backed it up Port Royal a couple of weeks ago, another win on the Short Track Super Series. You're the hottest guy on the tour. What's the plan going into this weekend?
We're just going to keep working hard and see what happens. We've just been busy in the shop and then obviously busy all of us at work, and keep plugging away and just keep keeping one day at a time.
Well, Ryan, you've been on really a recent run of success, dating all the way back to the fall. Got that big 76er win at Grandview Speedway. I mean, since then, I think you're up at over $100,000 that you've been fortunate enough to bring in that time. What do you attribute this recent success to?
And when you do that, the wins, I think, come. And that's what we finally did here last year. We created it early in the season. It took us a little while to get going, to get all our parts and get some of the pieces that we needed. And we just kept plugging away and just found success. Probably by, I think, June, we started really picking up good. And we just kept plugging away and working hard,
We've always heard that a win will add 10, 15 horsepower to a driver's confidence. But when you pick up a big win like you did at Grandview, and then you pick up the $25,000 to start the Elite Tour, what does that do to your confidence as a driver?
Well, when you do this stuff for as long as we do it, we've been running Grandview for a long time trying to get that win. And, when you finally get it, it's like, you exhale a little bit. Like that was one off our list. We had won the Cold Cracker. We won the Forest Rogers. And that's really the only one that we haven't won. Ran good in a lot of them, just never could put it all together. And, I was a big tourer guy, obviously, a few years ago. And we hopped in the Bicknell car. And that just took us from one part to the next part. And I think you guys can see that with Peter Britton too. And it just keeps starting to click, and it's just a little easier to drive. They say, we're aggressive. I don't know, the Bicknell cars don't seem like you have to drive as aggressive. Everything's a little bit more easier than it was when we were running the tourer cars. And, not any knock on tourer cars, and I hope success and keep going, but just for our package and the stuff that we do, it just seems to be clicking the right way. And then obviously we got Stefan LaFrance with Chick Race Parts with his shock package and all his stuff he brings to the table. It's just surreal how it's going right now. Obviously we always, we won races every year we ran, but the stuff. But we.
Well, Ryan, you talk about, the confidence that comes as a driver from winning races, but obviously, 2 starts this year, collect $30,000 in those 2 starts. What does a kickstart of the funds like that do for your program? It's a big time for modified racing right now.
Yeah, and it is, and we're all in a tough spot in the world in general of getting parts and be able to get stuff. So it just helps. We don't take a dime in our pocket, right? It all goes back in the race team. So really, all it does is allow us to prepare a little better for some more races in the future here going forward. And it just makes, financially it makes it easier. Obviously stuff is going up, fuel, diesel, tires, the whole across the board. And, who knows where it's going to stop or where it's going to end, but it just helps you throughout the season. And, you get to Saturday nights and when you're only going for 2,500, it just helps you on the Saturday night deals and it helps you on, to go to the next midweek show. So, I never thought it would happen this way. It's pretty cool to win a 25,000 win over, I think it was 60 cars that entered that weekend. And I mean, you got to get your hats off to Brett Deo for putting the money out that he's doing. It's just pretty crazy. And just glad to be a part of it. And hopefully we can keep the ball rolling here for the rest of the year.
This weekend, Orange County Fair Speedway, the Hard Clay Open, race number 2 on that Elite Series. And you've got to be one of the favorites going into this weekend, Ryan. You obviously leading the points after one race. We know it's just one race, but looking at big picture, the momentum carrying into this weekend, obviously on your side.
Well, we're hoping, right? I mean, obviously you're putting sail panels on the car now for this race, and that gives the car a whole different feel, a whole different attitude. So if we can adjust the car to that, I think we'll be okay. If we don't, we might struggle a little bit in that aspect of it. Hopefully not. We did prepare a lot for that instance with the car, and we've been working hard on that Elite Series car since we ended, obviously, Cherokee. And we prepared for Georgetown really good. Obviously, they got rained out now. To prepare for Middletown. I mean, we did everything we can in the shop to prepare for it. Now we just need to execute, and hopefully I could pick a little better number than I did the last 2 shows. I think we started pretty much dead last in the heat race in both the Cherokee race and the Port Royal race. So other than that, I mean, we just got to keep doing what we're doing and finish races, right? You're not going to win them all. We just need to keep working hard and try to finish up front as much as we can.
Well, Ryan, I wanted to bring that up. Kind of talk about the mindset just a little bit. You're running for $25,000 in these elite shows, and usually we see a $25,000 main event is 100, 150, a 200 lap race, especially at a place like Orange County. But now you're drawing for heat races, and you're running a 50 lap feature for $25,000. That's a lot of money in a relatively short span.
It is, but it isn't. I mean, if you look at that Cherokee race in a whole, everybody who's going to get to the front in that race kind of got to the front. I mean, if it would have went, obviously, 52 laps, we wouldn't have made it. I mean, we had about another lap or 2 left in our tire. But then you get to come, a lot of cautions. And would that have been a good race? That would have been a good race? I don't know. But, I mean, in 50 laps, even on a 100-lapper, you kind of see usually the front runners are going to be 1, 2, 3. Now, that might change a little bit, but most of the time that's where it's going to be anyway. But, we still have to be patient, right? Even at 50-lapper, you can't go hard for 1 through 50. It's never going to happen. We try to take it easy and get ourselves in a relatively comfortable spot and keep plugging forward. And then, at the second half of the race, try to pour it on and make sure you got something left.
What's the 2022 for Ryan Godown Racing?
What's that?
What are your plans for this year besides chasing the Short Track Super Series?
So we're going to do the Elite Series and then the South Series for the Deo stuff. And then we're doing Bridgeport weekly on a Saturday night. We're going to hit some more spec head shows like Big Diamond, Grandview, some other places there. And then obviously we got like pretty good handful of dirt big block shows we're trying to hit. Want to get up to Albany, Saratoga a bunch of times on a Friday, hopefully. And then, maybe travel around to Utica and Fonda a couple times. And, just trying to make our own schedule, but not race too much. If we feel like it's hampering our team, we'll back off a little bit. But obviously, everybody in the shop works a full-time job, so we got to watch. We don't overwork everybody. And right now, we've overworked everybody just to getting everything together. No off season. I mean, we're on our second spec car, and I think that'll give us 4 or 5 cars now, and relatively in a couple months, and still trying to work and do everything we do. So that was tough, and everybody's. Once we get in the swing of things, everything's built. It's not so bad. It's about maintaining and trying to keep it going forward. But building everything that's where it gets to where it's time consuming. You try to build it. My brother's second to none building these race cars. I mean, it's a masterpiece when he's done, and it's just a lot of time in the shop.
Well, Ryan, you mentioned the southern portion of the Short Track Super Series, of course, got that win at Port Royal Speedway. And from a personal standpoint, I love Port Royal. I think racers, fans alike have seemed to be really clamoring to that joint lately. What's it like driving a big block around the Speed Palace?
It's crazy. I love it. I wish we had more races there. It's just hammered down, long straightaways, and it's wide. You could race the bottom, you could race the middle, you could slide job. I mean, everything about that race is pretty crazy. It's just like when I passed Goulart the last lap. I mean, we kind of just bonsai'd it off the wall, and you hope you stayed next to it enough where if you did hit the wall, you kind of just bounced off it a little bit. But it's just a neat racetrack to race. It's not hard on equipment. It's not hard on tires. And it races well. Like, it's not full of contact. It's you can really get around there pretty neat. I love going there. I love watching the sprint car highlights, the late model highlights. I mean, I like everything about Port Royal. You can't ask for a better facility there.
Well, you created a hell of a highlight 2 weeks ago. I can tell you that. That was pretty exciting. That ranks right up there. Before we let you go, Ryan, a couple of things just want to ask you about. Number one, Ryan Godown Jr., what's his plans for 2022 after a successful season at Bridgeport? And you mentioned your brother putting together a fantastic race car for you, but I know that there's other guys on that team that are working just as hard for you.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan's going to be running Bridgeport crates. Again, full-time, and then he's going to be running a South Series of the Deo stuff. And then we'll see how it goes from there. Obviously, we could do a little bit more, could do a little less. We just, like we said, we got to see what goes on throughout the year, how getting things and happen. And all my guys in the shop, I mean, like I said, it starts with my brother. Without what he does in the shop, I can't do nothing on a racetrack compared to what he does. That's number one. And you got Mike Carlucci. He's the M in R&M Motorsports. So he's my partner. So, he's brought to the table beyond everything I can imagine to be able to race at a high level as we are. And then we got my son Ryan obviously helps us, Dan Fleming, Ron Benitez, my son Ryan, just Matt Ellery. You just don't want to forget nobody. And then obviously, my girlfriend Chelsea and my daughter for letting us do this and not giving me too much of a hard time. And then, obviously all my sponsors. It's just Campouts came aboard the last couple of years really big, and he's been really putting it to us and helping us out, him and Kathy. And then we got Ellery's Bar and Grill. We have Izzy Trucking and Rigging. We got Montrose Molders. Who else we got? We got Weeknet Archery. He came aboard this year. It's been great for us. Preston Hydraulics. TMI Trucking, Boss Snowplows, the list goes on. Kobe Towing, Joy Auto Parts, Billy the Kid Racing Engines, Bicknell Race Cars, Integra Race Shocks. Just the list goes on, and they've been helping me, and they really came aboard the last couple of years, all these guys, and it's just been a blessing to be able to run for what the guys are putting together for me.
Well, that sounds like it's been the key to the success. Everybody behind you, and obviously the guy behind the wheel has been doing a hell of a job as well, Ryan. We appreciate you taking the time to join us here tonight. Thank you very much. Best of luck this weekend, buddy, and safe travels out there to Orange County.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
All right, Ryan Godown, the Ringo's Rocket, winner at Cherokee on the Elite Series for the Short Track Super Series, looking to make it 2 in a row on that tour, coming up here this Saturday for the Hard Clay Open at the Orange County Fair Speedway. When we return, we are going to be joined by a prominent car owner and businessman to talk about the economics of motorsports. Mike Payne will join us when we return right here on Off Track TV.
Weedsport Productions is the live video production company that you need at your next event. Our mobile production truck is outfitted with the most advanced broadcast equipment in the industry. Weedsport Productions covers racing, live sporting events, corporate events, and concerts. We can broadcast your event live, stream it to the internet, or produce an exciting in-venue experience for your audience. Visit weedsportproductions.com now to learn more.
I'm Shane Andrews, Dan Kapazinski in studio. Great to have Ryan Godown get a little New Jersey flavor.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's a whole other part of modified country, essentially, that guys like myself don't always get a chance to see. But fortunately, with streaming TV these days, you know, you can watch these races all the time on several different platforms. And it's great to have a conversation with a driver that has so much success, you know, outside of Central New York.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ryan, great competitor behind the wheel. Again, Orange County Fair Speedway Hard Clay Open coming up at this Saturday. I know a lot of fans are going to be driving down to the Hard Clay Open, and Dan, you know, just driving around, we're consumers too. I mean, you look at what gas prices are right now.
Yep.
You have a family of four. What we're seeing in the grocery stores, a premium on the products that are available and everything, and all the strife in the world. I mean, it's affecting everybody.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's you know, unfortunately, in certain circumstances, it's one of those situations where you almost just, it's hard to say, but almost kind of have to buck up and kind of deal with it to a degree, gas and things like that. But racing, for a lot of people, is a hobby. It's a luxury. It's something that they decide to do. And our next guest, Shane, is one of those guys.
Absolutely. And before we meet our next guest, I want to ask you, how is all of this affecting your racing plans in 2022?
Well, fortunately for myself, I only race 20 minutes down the road. You know, for the most part, we're at Oswego Speedway nearly every Saturday night. We're going to be doing a little bit of traveling to Evans Mills, Chemung, and things like that. And I'll be honest, you know, I'm kind of doing a little bit of the help and trying to get these out-of-town races going, and it makes you nervous to think that maybe some guys, you know, who knows what gas prices are going to be. But for right now, we're hunkered down and we're ready to do as much racing as we can.
Well, I think it's a pertinent topic that we need to talk about, the economics of what is going on in the world and how it's going to affect a race team. And joining us live from his home out there in Stanley, New York, we want to welcome in the 2002 Brewerton Speedway 358 Modified Track Champion and owner of the 7Z MP Delivery Big Block Modified, a very successful businessman, race car owner and driver, Mike Payne. Hello, Mike, and welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. I can't believe you dug deep to find that championship from Brewerton, but that brings back some memories, so
sure does.
That was a few years ago.
I was the track announcer there that year when you won that championship. I won't forget that. I'll always bring that up.
Crazy.
And while it's a long ways from 2002, here we are in 2022, 20 years ago, Mike. When you were running that 358 Modified, did you ever think that we would see the climate like we are right now economically for what we're experiencing, not only in the world as consumers, but as yourself as a businessman and race car owner?
Absolutely not. It's crazy to think about, you know, like Ryan said, where it's going, what it's going to end up, you know, where it's going to end at, and then when it's going to try and get back to some sense of normalcy, and it's going to be a rough year. We think about it, but we just keep plugging along and hope for the best, and you know, try and make decisions if it's questionable on, you know, if it's going to rain out or not, and it's not a point show that we have to really attend. Do we go? You know, just because, you know, diesel's $5.40 a gallon, and you know, tires are hard to get, parts are hard to get. So I know for us, you know, we committed to, you know, Land of Legends for the year. We're going to do some local stuff, hit as many, you know, series shows locally as we can, some small block shows. But as far as getting too far from home, you know, we're going to have to be, I think, like everyone's going to be, is you know, careful.
Mike, I think a lot of people are, you know, most interested in, you know, they hear about tire shortages, they hear about part shortages, they hear about, you know, the hard items that are out there to get right now for race teams. Give us an idea of what has been the most difficult thing for you as a car owner on that front.
Parts. I ordered steering boxes from Sweet. Great product. Last October. I got my first one on Monday. Waiting on some power steering reservoirs so we can finish the small block car. Never experienced this before. I could order 4 steering boxes and they'd be here in 3 days.
Right.
As far as tires, I would normally start the year off with 50 brand new tires in the rack. And then, when it got down about 20, we'd go get another load of them. Right now, we get 4, and if we're lucky, we get 6 as a traveling big block, team. But it's going to be, you have to conserve your stuff. Where normally you want to put a new right rear on, you're starting to think, I can get 1 more, maybe 2 more races out of that, because you don't know when the next one's coming. I don't sell used tires anymore. We wash them and put them in the shed, and we might have to use them later on in the year, because like last year, you just don't know. As the year went on, it was hard to get tires, and it's the motor program. Kevin, at Kevlar does a really great job. They stock a lot of stuff. We're fortunate. We have our big blocks are in order right now. We got 2 dirt legals on the floor, waiting on a 3rd one to get freshened. But he's having a hard time getting parts, so he's we knew that going in, and we didn't sell off. Normally we'd sell off a small block, get a brand new one to start the year, but that just wasn't going to happen. So we kept what we had.
Mike, you mentioned the cost of diesel. Everybody, obviously, that goes to the races has some sort of vehicle, whether it's a motorcycle, a car, a truck. The cost of gasoline, I think that's going to play an effect to a lot of people deciding on what races they're going to attend economically. As you look at it from a car owner standpoint and also from a business standpoint, I'm sure you've seen your expenses just double, if not quadruple, over the last 6 months with the cost of everything. When you put your initial schedule together for 2022, have you gone back and revised that to say, well, maybe we don't need to go to this one right now because, well, it's going to cost us X amount to be able to get there?
We knew that going in when we made the schedule. When Zach sat down and we went over what we thought we could do, before the price increase of, gasoline and diesel. And it was the amount of time we were going to have to put into it. But now we're starting to look at, maybe we won't go to Georgetown just because it's so far away. It's not really one of the ones we have to go to. So yeah, it has entered onto it, and our equipment to get to the tracks is diesel, but all our FedEx trucks are all gas, and I can tell you that the gas bill is just over $7,000 a week, and it is what it is. We keep running trucks. Packages got to get delivered. People got to keep working. But it is certainly it's certainly hitting us, on both aspects with business and what I call my golf game. But so we have thought about it.
Well, Mike, obviously your son Zach had a really good career pretty quickly in the sportsman ranks, won some big races here at Weedsport Speedway, now making that jump to modified racing. Have you looked at the turn in the economy as maybe a stretch of bad luck? I mean, was there ever any thought that maybe now wouldn't be the time to make the move, or did that never even enter your mind? You had already committed to it.
Honestly, that didn't really enter into it because we've been building. Didn't know we were building for this year for the last 6 years. And as we progressed, and his devotion, his time, and, his seriousness has come about, we decided that, it was all up to him. He's got to put the time, the effort. He does 90% of the work on the cars. I get to do the tires and wash the thing, which that's what I enjoy doing. He does everything else. And so it was really his decision on, when we would move up. We didn't know. We had what I consider 5 wins this year. If you told us we were going to win 1, I don't know if I would have believed you. And then when he popped off that win at Weedsport, I'm getting goosebumps now just thinking about it because it's surreal. And then, as the year went on, he he did all the right things, kept his nose clean. The car was always prepared 100%. We never went to the track where I thought, he didn't put the time and the effort into it. He found a way to make sure that thing was perfect every time we went. And, I think that was the devotion that he put into it, that we had some success this year. And then we talked about it over the winter, and it was his decision. And he said that he knows what it takes. I mean, he ran the operation in 16 and 17 by himself. I was not involved at all. We were, just starting FedEx, and Zach was still in high school. So he'd go to school during the day, get home, and he knew what he had to do, and he never wavered. So he knows what's involved. And then, he does all the work, and now he gets to drive the thing, which I was hoping he wouldn't like driving, but it's that looks like that's gonna stick around for a little while, and so no, it was a decision. Like I said, we had the motors, we had 90% of the equipment to go to modified racing. We had purchased a truck and trailer, so if we wanted to travel, I kind of knew that in 2020, he was starting to show more interest and working harder. So I knew one of the big expenses was going to be a hauler, and we got a good deal on a hauler. Right now you can't buy a truck and trailer. It's just
Can't find
it's
them.
Just way too high. Yeah. And we were fortunate we got in, and we got a really nice piece, and knowing that we were probably going to go down this road eventually, and here we are. So my expense this winter, the biggest expense I had this winter, was just the new frames and bodies. Other than that, all the other parts were pretty much the same. We just changed rear ends and went modified racing. So I had all the motors and stuff.
Well, Mike, you have had a impressive list of drivers behind the wheel of that 7Z over the years. Dale Plank, Eric Rudolph, Dave Marcichelli, and now your son, Zach. I am positive and very confident in saying that he is going to live up to the expectations of you and that race team. Appreciate you coming on tonight and sharing your insights on your business and also on the economics of racing and what to expect. Thanks for taking the time and joining us here, buddy, and look forward to seeing you soon at a racetrack.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Mike Payne, owner of the number 7Z Big Block Modified. His son Zach will be wheeling at a dirt track near you. When we return, Dan and I will take your questions and try and solve the world's problems and maybe even create a few when we come back.
Weedsport Speedway is home of the fastest cars and biggest stars. With over $1 million in recent upgrades, our fans know this is the premier race destination in the Northeast. The fan experience is at the forefront of everything we do. LED light shows, luxury suites, premium stadium seating, and a 27-foot HD video display to engage and entertain fans. And by the way, our fans, our fans kick ass. They are committed and loyal. They bring their families to races. They consistently engage with us over social media, on our website, and tune into our incredible productions airing on national TV and streaming online. This year features an exciting season of events. It's a blast to go fast. Want to talk to a growing audience and next-generation fans? Customized sponsorship opportunities make it super easy. We have event sponsorships, product sponsorships, digital billboards, web, social, digital ads, race day displays and signage, booths and promotions. Video opportunities both in venue, on national TV, and streaming online. The drivers, the excitement, the speed. The Port Burgers are why fans show up. At Weedsport Speedway, our venue and production are the reason they keep coming back. Be a part of the best season yet.
Keeping our foot to the floorboard. Welcome back here at Off Track TV. And Dan, I'll tell you, two spectacular guests tonight, Ryan Godown and Mike Payne. And I really appreciate Mike's insight on sharing with us some of the turbulations that as a race car owner and business owner that he's running into.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, Shane, Mike's been around many, many years. He's seen the ins and outs of this sport for so long. And to be in a situation to see things now that he's never seen before, struggles that he's never had, trying to get parts and pieces for a race car that usually fly right off of shelves, it's causing a stir with race teams across the country. But they're hard-nosed people. Mm-hmm. They work hard. They've got great teams behind them, and they're all going to do their best to get out there and make these races the best they can.
You take a guy like Mike Payne who has connections and the resources to be able to look and find things, but take somebody that doesn't quite have that yet, that may be starting out or maybe in their second or third season of racing. It's going to be a very tough struggle for a lot of guys.
Well, and it's not, and you bring that up, Shane, I think of the sportsman competitors, number one, because what Mike just said right there, one thing I took away from that is they went 5 or 6 years of sportsman racing. Well, they only really had engines and rear ends that they had to change in those race cars. A lot of the other parts, they transfer from a sportsman directly to a modified. So the sportsman teams at the same time, they're going to be looking for these parts just as badly as the modified drivers.
Well, it's going to be interesting how this all plays out over the course of the next 5 to 6 to 7 months in all industries, and not just racing, and everything in everyday life that we all experience in our lives. Well, Dan, we've got time for a couple of quick questions. What do you say we take them on?
Let's do it.
All right. Brett Drake wants to know, will Chris Heil win on the Super DIRTcar Series Tour this year?
Well, I would say that that's a pretty safe bet. Yeah. I do think he will, especially, another full-time year on the Super DIRTcar Series. Obviously, he knows a lot of these hometown tracks extremely well, but going to some of these other tracks for a second, maybe a third time, it's all about building that notebook, having the experiences you need going back to these racetracks, 2 or 3 times now, and I think it's pretty much a certainty that at some point this season we're going to see Chris Heil in Super DIRTcar Series victory lane.
I agree, and I'm going to back this up with some statistics. 4th at Lebanon Valley last year, 5th at Weedsport, 2nd at Orange County Fair Speedway, and a 4th at Brewerton. Now, Lebanon Valley and Orange County Fair Speedway, 2 tracks that he had never been at before in top 5 runs. Brewerton and right here at Weedsport has always been a consistent runner. I'm agreeing. I think Chris Heil will pick up a Super Dirt Series win this year.
Yeah, it really sticks out, especially those finishes, like you said, in Orange County and Lebanon Valley. He's been around a long time. He's got great help behind him, a lot of resources, understands those cars inside and out. Chris will have a big 2022.
Sarah Cole wants to know, who do you guys pick for the Elite Short Track Super Series race this weekend at Orange County?
I'll let you go first.
You're going to let me go first. Boy, let's see. All right. Well, you're going to have Anthony Perego. You're going to have Ryan Godown. You're going to have Matt Shepard. You're going to have Max McLaughlin. You'll have Stuart Friesen. Those are my picks.
Right? Yeah. Throw them in the air.
In no particular order. Listen, it's tough. It's tough to make a prediction without seeing anybody already run. If we base it off of past experience, what we've seen in Florida, what we saw in South Carolina.
Yep.
I'm going to go out and I'm going to say I'm going to pick this one. I think Ryan Godown's going to have a good run to keep that momentum going. I think Stewie and Shepard are going to be in the mix, but I think it's kind of hard to bet against the Orange County Fair Speedway champion from a year ago, Anthony Perego.
That's a very good pick. I would almost like to wait a little bit until we could see how the draw shakes out there for those heat races because that's going to be huge. It plays a big part in these races, but I think a lot of people like to see that at the same time. On my end, everybody you said, Shane, obviously top of the list, but I'm not going to pick against him until he gets beat. I'll stick with Ryan Godown.
All right. Let's see if we can start something. An off-track TV winners momentum.
I like it.
We'll figure out a name for it. Dan, boy, I'll tell you what, fast half hour once again.
Yeah, it's definitely the fastest 30 minutes that I know.
What do you say we do it again on Thursday, April 14th? We'll be back on Facebook Live at 8 p.m. for Dan Kapazinski. My name is The Voice, Shane Andrews. For the guys behind the scenes, Brett Moses, Art Rourke, and Don Boshin, thanks, guys, for making us look and sound good. And for all of you for joining us, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time right here on Off Track TV.